honoris causa. Congratulations, Dr. Polak.
About 50 years ago, I sat in the audience just like those of you who are about to graduate today. I was a little bit proud, a little bit scared, and a little bit hungover. Many people tell me that I'm a contrarian, but I take the opposite view. I got called on the carpet again because I got very interested in hypnosis. And working with a staff member, I delivered the first baby in London under hypnosis. But in those days, hypnosis was not considered to be a very good way to go. And so Dr. Polak called me into his office. And you know that joke about the mule, and the guy says, "That's one." Of course, I knew that it was two, but I didn't. By the grace of God, I graduated. By the way, I also wrote some poetry in those days. And here's one that it goes something like this. I think that I shall never see relief as great as when I pee. The poet who sings of love's great pull has never had his bladder full. And he who rants of yearning's great forgets the need to urinate. Life's greatest moment, wise men know, is when at last you can't let go. Now, for some reason, I got no literary awards for this kind of So later in life, I've continued as a contrarian, and one of the things that I'm a contrarian about is so much of health education teaches people to work effectively with just about 10% of the world's patients. And I think it's time we started looking at how to provide health services and how to understand the health problems of the other 90%. 3 days ago, I was at Stanford, where I had worked to help set up a course called Design for Extreme Affordability. So this course gives students an opportunity to make a difference. It divides into 10 teams. There are students from health services, business, engineering, and the humanities. And they go to places like Myanmar and Nepal and Ethiopia and talk to people in the village and learn about their problems and try to design practical solutions all in a space of 10 weeks. One of these groups got very interested in neonatal births in Nepal. Nepal has a neonatal mortality rate of about 20%. Families who have premature kids that live in rural areas never even see a hospital, much less an incubator. So this team designed a $25 incubator. That group, by the way, won a bunch of prizes. They earned $120,000 altogether in prize money. And one of the students is on his way to India now to start a business to manufacture these $25 incubators and mass market them. These are students who don't have any particular expertise in design or in poverty. They simply go to the village, talk to poor people, and learn how to come up with solutions. I think a fair question is, how come an old codger like me left psychiatry and started working with poor people all over the world? And the answer is, I got interested in poverty because the people who were chronically mentally ill living in the community really responded more to practical strategies to end their poverty, like housing and jobs, than any psychiatric therapies we could think of. So we started doing, providing work opportunities, housing, and income. And that worked very well. And after a couple of years of this, I realized that the people in Denver, Colorado, who were poor, were actually living on $500 a month, which is very wealthy on a world scale. So I went to Bangladesh and started talking to poor people there. And these are people who live in rural areas, who make a living on 1 acre, and they are small farmers, and they live on less than $1 a day. So try to concentrate, because this is fairly complicated. I asked them, why are you poor? And pretty much most of them said, we're poor because we don't have enough money. So I said, how do you see yourself getting out of poverty? They said, earning more money from farming. How would you do that? We need water control for our crops. So IDE, the organization that I started, started manufacturing through the private sector treadle pumps. This is a little pump, costs $8. To install it on a tube well cost $25. We created a marketing program. We recruited 75 little workshops to manufacture these treadle pumps, 2,000 or 3,000 village dealers to sell them with a 12% margin, and we trained 2,000 or 3,000 well drillers. We gave them a 3-day course with a certificate at the end of it. And about 15 years later, we had sold 2.1 million treadle pumps in Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Cambodia, and Zambia, and now Myanmar. And those treadle pumps are earning $210 million a year after expenses forever for these poor people. So the solutions are really not that complicated. A year ago, I handed over IDE to the leadership of Al Dirksen, who's sitting in the front row. He's the new CEO. And so I started 2 new organizations. They're about 5 months old, and the purpose of these organizations is to create a revolution in poverty, because our current approaches to poverty are failing. To create a revolution in design, because all the designers in the world, like in the health field, focus all their energy on addressing the problems of the richest 10% of the world's customers. And before I die, I want to see that silly ratio reversed. And the third revolution I'm trying to foment is a revolution in how multinational corporations do business, because you can't just make cosmetic changes in your current product line and hope to sell them to so-called emerging markets. You have to go through a revolutionary process in design based on the ruthless pursuit of affordability. And you have to create a whole new approach to marketing and distributing products. But I happen to think that there are huge profit opportunities that are unrecognized. And so I started a private company whose mission is to make obscene profits serving poor customers and demonstrate that you can enter this field as a multinational corporation and make a huge contribution to poor customers, as well as making a decent rate of return. I guess I want to say thank you to Western for sort of turning the other way to my rebellious behavior, which is now turned into behavior that many people feel is revolting. Thank you very much.
Your work to improve the lives of others around the world has provided an inspiration to those who graduate today. Some 50 years after you took your Western degree in medicine, you exemplify the social engagement we cherish among all our alumni. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating once again our honorary Doctor of Science, Dr. Paul Polak.